Before you watch another video today, I want you to do something. Look at your cat. Maybe they're sleeping. Maybe they're staring out a window. Or maybe they're pretending they don't care about you. But here's a strange question. Out of millions of cats in the world, why did this cat end up with you? Why not another owner? Why not another home? Why did your paths cross at exactly the right moment? Maybe you adopted them. Maybe you rescued them. Maybe they simply appeared in your life when you weren't expecting it. But what if it wasn't completely random? Because scientists have discovered something fascinating about the relationship between cats and humans, a relationship that goes much deeper than most people realize. In fact, many cat owners say their cat entered their life during one of the most important moments they ever experienced. A stressful time, a lonely time, or a time when they needed comfort the most. Coincidence? Maybe. But by the end of this video, you'll understand why your cat may have entered your life for a very special reason. Before we begin, I want to tell you something. I've spent years learning about cat behavior, and one thing I've noticed is that almost every cat owner eventually asks the same question. Not, how did I get a cat? But why did this cat come into my life? Because sometimes the connection feels bigger than a coincidence, and that's exactly what we're exploring today. Reason number 1, your cat helps your heart more than you realize. Let's start with science. A major study that followed thousands of people found something surprising. Cat owners were significantly less likely to die from cardiovascular disease compared to people who never owned cats. Think about that. Simply having a cat in your life was associated with better heart health. But why? The answer may be stress. When you pet your cat, your body releases oxytocin, often called the love hormone. At the same time, stress hormones begin to decrease. Your heart rate slows. Your blood pressure drops, and your body enters a calmer state. In other words, your cat helps your body relax without medication, without therapy sessions, without even trying. Now think about your own life, the stressful days, the difficult moments, the worries that keep you awake at night. How many times has your cat quietly appeared beside you? Not because they understand your problems, but because their presence alone makes things feel a little easier. Maybe that's one reason cats become so important to us. They bring calm into a world that often feels overwhelming. And perhaps that's exactly why your cat arrived when they did. Reason number 2, your cat showed up when you needed comfort. Let's talk about something almost every human experiences: stress, anxiety, loneliness, emotional exhaustion. A survey by Cats Protection and the Mental Health Foundation found that 87% of cat owners believe their cat had a positive impact on their well-being. 87%. That's huge. Even more interesting, 76% said their cat helped them cope with everyday life. Now think back. When did your cat enter your life? For many people, it wasn't during a perfect chapter. It was during a difficult one, a breakup, a loss, a stressful job, a period of loneliness, or simply a time when life felt heavier than usual. And somehow, a cat appeared. Maybe not dramatically, maybe not overnight, but little by little, things felt different. Not because the cat solved every problem, but because they gave something many people desperately need: comfort. They sat beside you after difficult days, curled up next to you when nobody else was around, and reminded you that you weren't completely alone. Think about your own story. What was happening in your life when your cat arrived? For many people, that answer is what makes the bond feel so special, because sometimes the smallest creatures arrive during the biggest battles of our lives. Reason number 3, cats have been human companions for thousands of years. Here's something fascinating. Humans and cats have shared a relationship for nearly 10,000 years. That's older than most civilizations. Unlike dogs, cats were never fully domesticated in the same way. Instead, they chose to stay near humans. At first, humans benefited because cats controlled rodents. Cats benefited because humans provided food and shelter. But over time, something changed. Cats stopped being useful animals and became family. Today, millions of people treat their cats like children, like best friends, like companions. Because over thousands of years, a unique bond developed between our species. A bond built on trust rather than obedience. And that's one reason relationships with cats feel so different. Your cat doesn't stay because they have to. They stay because they choose to. Reason number 4, your cat understands more than you think. Have you ever noticed your cat appearing when you're upset or staying unusually close when you've had a bad day? Researchers believe cats are much better at reading humans than most people realize. Cats learn our routines. They recognize our voices, they observe our habits, and they notice changes in our behavior. Your cat may not understand every word you say, but they understand you. They know when you're happy, when you're stressed, when you're sick, when something feels different. That's why so many cat owners feel like their cat somehow knows. Because in many cases, they probably do. Not through magic, not through superpowers, but through years of quietly watching and learning everything about the person they love. And what you're about to hear next might be the most surprising fact in this entire video, because it involves something your cat does every single day. Something scientists still don't completely understand. Their purr. Reason number 5. Your cat may be helping you heal. Let's talk about one of the most amazing sounds in nature. A cat's purr. Most people think cats only purr when they're happy, but that's not always true. Cats also purr when they're injured, when they're frightened, and sometimes even when they're giving birth, which led scientists to ask an interesting question. Why? Researchers discovered that a cat's purr typically falls between 25 and 150 hertz. What's fascinating is that frequencies within this range have been linked to tissue repair, bone growth, and recovery processes in the body. Now, that doesn't mean your cat replaces a doctor, but it does mean there's something surprisingly special about purring. Think about how you feel when your cat curls up next to you and starts purring. Your breathing slows, your stress fades, the room feels calmer. The problems don't disappear, but they somehow feel smaller. And maybe that's why people often describe their cats as comforting. Not because cats can solve problems, but because they make difficult moments easier to carry. And here's something even more interesting. Scientists still don't fully understand why cats purr, which means one of the most common sounds in your home is still one of science's biggest mysteries. Reason number 6. Your cat taught you a different kind of love. Here's something every cat owner understands. Cats don't give trust away easily. Unlike some animals, cats don't instantly become best friends with everyone they meet. Trust must be earned. And that's exactly what makes it special. When your cat chooses to sleep beside you, slow blink at you, follow you from room to room, or curl up in your lap, they're saying something important. I trust you. And trust is powerful. Because real relationships aren't built on force. They're built on trust. Over time, living with a cat changes people. It teaches patience, observation, understanding. Cats communicate differently. They don't use words, they use body language, small movements, tiny signals. And when you learn to understand those signals, you become more aware, not just of your cat, but of the people around you too. Maybe that's one reason cats have such a strong impact on our lives. They teach us that the strongest love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's sitting beside someone without saying a word. And somehow, that becomes enough. Reason number 7. Your cat reflects who you are. Researchers have noticed something interesting. People who love cats often share similar personality traits. They tend to be curious, thoughtful, creative, independent, and comfortable spending time alone. Now, that doesn't mean cat people are better than anyone else. It simply means they often see the world differently. And if you've ever watched a cat closely, you'll notice something. Cats are observers. They don't rush. They don't constantly seek attention. They watch. They think. They explore. They sit quietly and absorb everything around them. In many ways, cats mirror the people who love them. A cat reminds us to slow down, to enjoy quiet moments, to be comfortable with ourselves. In a world full of noise, cats often bring peace. And maybe that's one reason people feel such a deep connection with them. Because sometimes your cat reflects the parts of yourself you rarely notice. But the next reason might be the one that hits the hardest. Because many people don't realize how much their cat means to them until they think about life without them. Reason number 8, your cat helps you feel less alone. Loneliness is something almost everyone experiences, but very few people talk about it. People don't usually say, I'm lonely. Instead, they say, I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm fine, and then they spend another evening sitting alone. Research has shown that pets can help reduce feelings of loneliness and social isolation. And for many people, cats play a huge role in that. Not because they replace human relationships, but because they provide something incredibly important: presence. Your cat doesn't care how much money you make. They don't care what job you have. They don't care what mistakes you've made. They simply care that you're there. And every day, they're there too, waiting at the door, sitting by the window, sleeping beside you, following you into the kitchen for absolutely no reason. And sometimes, that's exactly what we need. Not advice, not solutions, just someone who stays, a quiet companion, a warm heartbeat nearby. A reminder that we're not as alone as we think. And maybe that's why cats become unforgettable, because during some of the hardest moments of our lives, they don't leave, they stay. Reason number 9, your cat notices things before you do. Have you ever felt like your cat knew something was wrong before anyone else? Many cat owners have stories like that. Stories of cats becoming unusually protective, staying close during difficult times, or acting differently when their owner wasn't feeling well. Now, cats aren't magical, but they do have extraordinary senses. Their hearing is better than ours. Their sense of smell is far stronger, and they spend an incredible amount of time observing us, which means they notice things, small things, changes in your routine, changes in your mood, changes in your behavior, things you might not even notice yourself. That's why so many people feel their cat understands them, because after years of living together, your cat becomes an expert on you, and perhaps that's one reason the bond feels so special. They know you better than you realize. Reason number 10, your cat chose you too. And now we've reached the final reason, the most important one. Out of all the homes in the world, your cat ended up in yours. Out of all the people they could have trusted, they trusted you. Out of all the laps they could have curled up in, they chose yours. Think about that. Every cat owner has a story about how it all began. Maybe you rescued your cat, maybe you adopted them, maybe someone gave them to you, or maybe they simply appeared in your life when you least expected it. At the time, it probably felt like an ordinary moment, but looking back, it changed everything. Because from that day forward, life was different. You had someone waiting for you at home, someone who could make a bad day better, someone who became part of your routine, part of your memories, part of your family, and maybe that's why the connection feels so powerful. Because your cat isn't just part of your story anymore. They are part of your story. Think about it. Your cat doesn't know your job, your bank account, your social status, or your achievements. They don't care how successful you are. Yet, somehow, out of everyone in the world, you became their favorite human. And maybe that's one of the greatest compliments you'll ever receive. So tonight, before you go to sleep, take a moment and look at your cat. Really look at them. Think about everything you've been through together. The good days, the difficult days, the stressful days, the happy moments, the memories nobody else knows about. Somehow, they were there, curled up beside you, watching from across the room, waiting at the door, simply being present. And maybe that's the real reason cats are so special. Not because they're perfect, not because they're mysterious, not because they have magical powers, but because they make life feel a little warmer, a little calmer, and a little less lonely. Maybe your cat came into your life by chance. Maybe it was luck. Or maybe it was simply perfect timing. Whatever the reason, one thing is certain. Life feels better with a cat in it. And if you've ever been loved by a cat, you know exactly what I mean. Because cats don't just live in our homes. Eventually, they live in our hearts. Before you go, tell me in the comments, how did your cat find you? I read as many comments as possible, and honestly, cat owners have some of the most incredible stories I've ever heard. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Cat Mind Facts family. Because here, we don't just learn about cats, we understand them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.